So hello everyone and welcome to another All Blaze No Glory special YouTube edition. I'm joined by Forrester RFC club captain, John McMillan. How are you doing tonight, John?
Yeah, doing well, thanks, mate. How's yourself?
I'm doing great. It's good to finally see some familiar faces again, albeit across the screen from the rugby club. How's the training been going since you've been allowed to get back to it?
Training's been good. Yeah, we kind of stop-start kind of when we started going back to it last year. We were getting into the swing of things, and we got the go ahead to do contact training, and we had one session of one-on-one tackling, and then I think it was the next day. It was like, right, that's it, no more. You're back to just handling and all the rest of it. So since we've come back this year, it's been really good actually. We've managed to get really good numbers at training as well, like getting probably about 50 folk at each session, and just like there's a really good buzz. And I think guys are just, even though kind of at the time we were limited what we could do, guys have just had that buzz about getting down and, like you say, seeing familiar faces, seeing boys that they hadn't seen in a while, getting a catch up, and just getting a wee bit of the blood flowing as well.
Excellent, and it must be great getting back. I mean, I've been playing a little bit of softball, and just getting out and about and seeing folk must do wonders for your sort of your psyche, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think for a lot of guys as well, it was routine. It was getting back into something that's almost something to kind of. It used to be the case of structuring your week around training, and I can't go for coffee this night because I've got training, or I can't do this, I can't do that. It was bringing guys kind of back into that whole, almost some sort of sense of normality.
Hello.
And yeah, like I say, the guys just absolutely loved it as well. So
cool. So how did you get into to rugby and to Forresters? What made you get involved with Forrester Rugby Club?
So I started playing rugby when I first joined high school, and I signed up at the sports fair that they had, and it was all because my mum told me that I was fat and it would probably help me lose a bit of weight and make a few friends at the same time. So the Forrester legend that is Billy Smith signed me up. I think we got a couple of tickets for one of the Scotland internationals as well. So it was almost like a wee bit of an incentive to go along, and even if you weren't that interested in playing, you got tickets for a Scotland match. So no complaints there. But so just basically started playing there, and got involved with a group of guys that kind of were training as well. And X amount of years later now, we're all still the best of mates and see each other regularly and through the club and for other walks of life. But so I played school rugby all the way through, and then when I was 16, I joined Forrester Rugby Club. Just because until then I was enjoying just kind of playing it casually almost. And then a couple of guys were like, you should come along and play. I mean, you already play for the school. You'll know the majority of guys that go there anyway. Went along, and yeah, as they say, the rest is history. So
yeah, and obviously with the McMillans there's a bit of a family vibe going on. You've got obviously Buddha and Alex are there as well. Is it all different characters in their own unique ways, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Your brothers on the squad as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And to be fair, kind of as we've kind of grown up and kind of followed our own sort of paths and all the rest of it, it's the one kind of place you're guaranteed to see your brothers, which is, I mean, it's great for us, really. Yeah, like you say, we're all different as well. So we all turn up and we all have kind of different banter with one another, and a few of the guys are kind of like, how are they related to you and all the rest of it. It's brilliant. I love it.
Excellent. And obviously you've spent a bit of time with Forresters. I mean, when I played a few years ago, still on call for SOS if the twos need me, just in case you're asking.
Sign you up.
Especially if you need to fly half. undefeated at that position. But yeah, you sort of dotted about between the second row and the back row, and the time I've known you. What's your favourite position to play?
So I love to play blindside flanker. 6 is my favourite position to play. But like I say though, I'll just play whatever I need to play on a Saturday. Like if I need to fill in the second row, which I have done for the past, I don't know, probably about 10 years now. Just because there's a lot of guys who perhaps don't want to go in there and maybe get caught up in the dark arts of the second row, and maybe it's too far forward in the scrum for them. But as long as I'm on that park and as long as I've got a Forrester badge on it, it doesn't really bother me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And you've played a little bit with is it Pigbarians and things like that, and sevens tournaments and stuff. What's it like, sort of, the banter joining a sort of scratch team?
Yeah, do you know what? I actually just love playing rugby, and it doesn't really matter that often who it's for. Yeah, a couple of charity sides and stuff like that, and playing when I've been kind of living abroad and stuff like that as well. It's yeah, kind of that if you turn up for a team like the Pigbarians, you kind of recognize a couple of faces, a couple of names, and then it's literally like you're kind of that awkward first introduction, or if someone's like, oh, such and such, and then once with that, it's that whole rugby kind of the ethos that everyone just buys into straight away, and you get to have a good bit of laugh. And yeah, it's kind of, once you get that introduction at the way, it just flows. It's really good.
Brilliant. And just now obviously you named the club captain recently. I think COVID's maybe got in the way of the grand entrance into that role, but you're obviously, what I got the vibe from you when I first went down, that you're obviously a big Forries guy. What was it like to be named the club captain?
So it was an aspiration that I'd had for a very long time, and to be honest, I'd kind of put off going for it for a few times, just because I felt, for me personally, I wasn't maybe quite at the right stage of my life, and I felt the time that I took away when I was traveling away and various different things like that I got to experience different things. I got to mature a lot more, and coming back, I was just like, right, that's me set. I want to go for it. And the first full season back, I went for vice club captain, and was successful in that, and then got that experience under my belt, and then going for club captain, and ran unopposed. And obviously the AGM was held virtually as well due to COVID, and it was announced that I was successful, and then it was just it was almost like a relief that kind of washed down, but at the same time it was a bit it's a bit of an anticlimax, because I was just sitting in this room just on a laptop, and then I was just like, oh, okay. But I mean, still, for me, it's a massive honor, and I've enjoyed the role so much, even with not getting to be down the club as much as I want, not getting to have a season, and just kind of almost, I don't know, picking times where I could kind of implement stuff that we can, and then taking a step back and then just wait to see what else can happen, basically.
Cool. And obviously during the sort of the lockdown, when you've not been able to train and stuff, we had virtual things. I was still hashtagging about 2 months after I was supposed to stop. But how important has it been for the club to sort of have these initiatives and do these sort of charity runs and things to sort of keep everybody together?
Yeah, that's definitely it. And that was the first challenge that we came up with, was the challenge to run or walk to Vienna and back, because we were due to go on a rugby tour to Vienna in June last year, and then obviously kind of all the restrictions came into place and all the rest of it. And for us, we decided as the rugby committee that it was a good opportunity to plan something. We'd seen a couple of clubs had done sort of various different events as well, and we had this idea that this is something that we could put into place, get guys to buy into, and it gives, again, it's that almost get the routine back into place for some people. It gives someone a purpose to get out and go for a run, perhaps they're sat at home working all day. They've maybe not had a lot of contact with people, and so by seeing like the guys buzzing each other, being like, right, have you been for a walk today? Have you done this? Have you done that? It's again get back into it and getting guys and going out for it. For us as well, being able to raise money for a local community charity as well was just a huge bonus for us. And like, we set out just to do it as a collective to get guys moving, and just so people weren't kind of losing touch with one another. But what the end result was just brilliant.
Great stuff. And the most recent movement from the club is in relation to mental health and things. And I have to tip my hat to the club, because I think it's something that's almost swept under the rug, the carpet with rugby teams and sort of laddish sort of groups, and it's a great thing. So can you tell people about how that sort of came into being?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, it's that whole perception of not just rugby, but kind of all kind of sports. It's, you've got to put on that front, that be that kind of be masculine and not kind of show emotions and all the rest of it. Whereas now I think the world is a lot kind of more in tune as to kind of how people really feel, and how there's nothing wrong with showing your emotions and being honest with one another, especially in the rugby club like Forrester. There's guys who, like I kind of previously mentioned, who I've known since I was 11, 12 years old. My brothers play there. There's people who's like cousins, and it was a case where the guys that we now play with from my age group, we were coached by them, and their dads coached us. And for us, it's a real sort of family club, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be open and honest about how we feel. So it's something that's been on the cards for quite a while, and especially with people kind of being in their homes and cooped up, and perhaps not having that interaction that they previously did, especially kind of socially work-wise. We thought it was massive to get something out there just to show support and to kind of be there. And it's not just for the players as well, it expands to the whole club. So we've got the social members, we've got the parents of the kids that come along, and supporters and all the rest of it. So a few of us have got together and put together a mental health and wellbeing group. Sat and brainstormed about different ideas and events and kind of different things to get the ball rolling. And I think kind of obviously from an inside perspective, it's something that's really positive to be a part of, and for the club to offer is huge as well. We've also teamed up with the rugby charity Looseheads, so they're going to help us with kind of training materials and kind of getting people up to scratch on kind of the best way to be approachable, how to deal with certain situations, and within that itself, they offer a huge amount of resources. So yeah, it's the start of something big, I think, and the way the world is, I think it's massively important at the moment.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and anyone who's not already following the Forrester Facebook page or them on Twitter, so certainly get on there. I think it's at Forrester RFC on Twitter, and just Forrester RFC on Facebook, so it's easy to find. Don't confuse it, don't write Forresters, because I think that's wrong. So
no.
So just a little bit more about the club itself. You've obviously got there's a lot of characters in the club. If you know, one of the characters I always point to when people ask me like who's the biggest character in the club is obviously, if there's someone who's going to make 5 meters and score 3 tries, Ryan Ingalls. But just over the years, you mentioned all your pals and stuff, but what's been sort of your best memories playing for Forresters, or even social events with Forresters?
There's only so many stories that you're allowed to tell. It's one of those. To be fair, it's just like, again, I'm going to sound biased, obviously, like being a Forrester man, but it's a different kind of banter sometimes. It's the guys that kind of, the stuff we do, it may not seem funny to the outside, but to us it's hilarious. You put me on the spot, I'm trying to think some of the stories. There's a couple of years ago, I keep forgetting, it's probably about 10, 11 years ago now, and Orkney used to be in our league, and we were going up to working on the Friday afternoon. So we all set off on the coach, and someone during the week had stolen the coach at the time, Diggy Dingwall, had stolen one of his dress shoes, just for a laugh, I think. And so basically throughout the trip, we were putting the shoe in different places that we stopped off. So we stopped off in the garage on the way, and there was like a stuffed lion wearing the shoe, and someone took a picture and was like, Diggy, did you see what was in the garage? And showed the shoe, and he was like, oh, for God's sake. And kind of as the weekend progressed, it was getting more and more elaborate. And at one point, we were on the ferry going across to Orkney, and someone's on the top deck, and they've somehow managed to work out where he's standing, and they've got the shoe, so it's a silhouette that's looking out, and he's seen it there, and he's ran up, and they've ran away, and it sounds ridiculously childish, but it's harmless fun. You know what I mean? Well, apart from obviously Diggy getting the shoe stolen, but he got it back in the end. It was unharmed, and yeah, it's just that kind of stuff. It sounds ridiculous, and people are like, "What? Why are you even doing that?" And it's the reason why it's funny because there's no reason to it.
Yeah, no, well, it's just, I guess when you're with a team, the dynamic changes. You just have those good times with pals and stuff. And in terms of actual on the field stuff, have you what's been your most memorable handoff? I mean, you're bound to have a few of them.
I'm quite keen of a handoff or a wee bump. To be honest, I've just kind of, for me, I mean, certain games stick in your mind for different reasons, and for me, it's kind of, I remember different games for different reasons, and not so much maybe because of the result or kind of how the game went, but there's little kind of things that stick in your mind, and perhaps getting to play with certain players, and kind of, like I say, some of our friends over the years have kind of stopped playing for a reason, and they've come back for a couple of games and different things like that. But for me personally, kind of one of my favorite games was when I first got to captain the first team down in North Berwick in the Shield away a couple of years ago, and it was just for us playing North Berwick, who for years were a team that we struggled to get a result against, and playing down there as well was really difficult, and for us to come away with the win, and I mean, I don't want to big myself up, but scored and got man of the match, for me, it just totally wrapped up the day for me, and I came away just like shoulders like were so high, and my chest was out, and I know a couple of guys from North Berwick as well, and it's kind of good to kind of go up and have a chat with them in the clubhouse after, and just kind of rub it into them as well.
Great. And then just before we have a little look ahead at some of the pro rugby stuff that's coming out, if there's anyone sort of on the fence thinking about joining either the local rugby club or Forresters, if they're in the South Gyle or anywhere in West Lothian, just about, because it's pretty easy to get
anywhere in Edinburgh, come along,
or anywhere in Edinburgh for that, even if you're right next to Megatland. Why should people get involved in their local rugby club, or indeed Forresters in particular?
Yeah, I think rugby, and I think grassroots rugby is just a brilliant thing to be involved with. Like I say, you get a real sense of community, of family. You've got guys who are from so many different walks of life, they're from different countries, different education, all the rest of it. Come along, and as soon as you're on that pitch, it's just that one language that everybody speaks, and it's the old the kind of thing where you batter lumps out of each other for 80 minutes, and then as soon as the whistle goes, it's onto a pint or a wee can of juice if you're driving home. But it's just little things like that. Like, you come away and you kind of you make friends with people that you play against, and you'll maybe see them in the street and all that kind of stuff. I've not really experienced anything like that outside of rugby. For me, it's just, like I say, it's that whole package of you get that buzz on of running about, and like that kind of feeling of waking up on a Sunday morning that sometimes it might not be worth it, but I think ultimately it's a great thing to be involved with.
Yeah, I can certainly attest to that from my time playing with Forresters, and I'm hoping I get back down to the club maybe for a Lions game or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Going to talk about next. So just while I've got you here, might as well pick another rugby brain. The Lions squad was announced a few weeks ago. Obviously 8 Scots, so I immediately got a nosebleed. What did you think of the makeup of the squad, and how do you think they'll fare against the South Africans?
Yeah, so I was the same with you with the Scottish selection. I was messaging one of the group chats at the same time, and all the boys that were like the Scottish guys that were named, and it was getting to the point where I couldn't keep up with typing their names, and the guys were just like, "It's fine, Johnny, we're watching it." I was like, "Right, no worries." I think I actually think it's a really good mix of players. I think there's a lot of combinations that are quite exciting to kind of see what happens with it. I think the Scottish guys, especially that have been selected, they've been putting their hands up for the last how many years to be in contention for different kind of accolades, and I think it shows the direction that Scottish rugby is going in as well, because there's easily a handful of guys that could have been on the tour as well, or may possibly still get a chance. But I think kind of, I don't know, I think there's not really many players that I think have been wrongly kind of missed out. I think the balance of the squad is really good. I think you've got a few guys that will do a job, and perhaps previously would have been selected purely on reputation rather than form. But I think there are a lot of guys who, at the moment, on the current form they are, can push and can put themselves in contention for a test place.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. I think my outside bet for the starting centres is Harris outside of Henshaw. I'm not sure whether Elliot Daly, for me, has enough international experience to be an outside centre.
I think. But, well, they were saying that part of his selection was because of his kicking ability, because I think it was one of his kicks that was against the All Blacks that drew the game or got them level at one point or something. And I think that's basically what they were falling back on. But I mean, it's a risky thing to select someone on. I reckon just get a wee bit more practice in, but.
I think it is. It's a risky thing. Although he did have that amazing drop goal against Ireland at the death after England had scored to bring themselves within 9 points, and he kicked a sort of drop goal from the touchline basically to put them within 7. So he does have a hell of a peg on him, but I've just never really seen him in centre. He always seems to end up at fullback or wing, which I suppose. Puts me off.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to kind of see what their attacking style will be, and whether Finn will get an opportunity to kind of almost get let loose and kind of see what happens, or if it's a case of, if it's not working, we'll put him on and see what happens. But you'd hope with of Townsend and Tandy being there that the Scottish boys will get a wee bit of a head start on the rest of them, because they'll be familiar with kind of their ways of working almost. Yeah,
I think so. Although I hear now that Andy Farrell's been added to the mix as a sort of joint defence coach or something, which is just odd.
I think so. Was that because Ireland's tour was cancelled to Fiji or something, wasn't it?
I think so. Yes, he's been brought in. He's a good coach,
yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, he's got that experience with the Lions as well. So you'd hope he's able to bring something, at least, if not just the experience.
Yeah. And then obviously Scotland have got a tour going. I don't know how in touch you were with their squad selection, but as a back row, you're bound to be excited by the likes of sort of Darge and Crosby maybe getting their chance to get their first caps.
Yeah, definitely. I think not necessarily just Scotland. I mean, I'm a huge rugby buff anyway, so I love just watching the game. But I think looking at the home nations, the young players that are coming through and getting an opportunity because your normal starters and your old reliables, if you like, are away with the Lions, and you get to see the kind of the next kind of generation coming in and really pushing. And I mean, you never know what will happen as well. You don't know how these guys are going to step up and perform. And yeah, I think it's just really exciting to kind of see what's going to happen.
Cool. And just wee prediction then. How do you think that we've got a 3-game test series, Lions and South Africa? What do you think the final score is?
I reckon it'll be 2-1 to the Lions.
Positivity. That's what I like to see.
I like it.
So anyway, thanks so much for your time. Just before I let you go, is there anyone you want to give a big shout out to on YouTube? That way we can guilt trip them into watching it as well, so it gets the viewers up.
Try to think of the spot. You want someone famous or local or?
It doesn't matter. The viewers are viewers. I don't care who they are. They could be a local.
Viewers are viewers. Well, I reckon everybody at Forrester should always support anyone who's involved in local rugby, and especially yourself being a former and current welcome back anytime player like yourself. So yeah, I think everybody should just give it a listen and kind of let's see what happens with it.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, John, and it's been great. It's been great speaking to you again, and hopefully I'll catch you down the pub for a pint one of these Lions games that are on.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
I'll need to speak to someone about my membership fees, because I've looked at that recently. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great, Richard. See you soon, mate.